The starship Vanguard drifted silently through a region of space that had been mapped and dismissed for centuries, a sector designated only by coordinates, devoid of major stellar activity, and thought to be empty. Sensors detected faint anomalies, erratic gravimetric readings, weak electromagnetic pulses, and traces of an atmosphere-like signature emanating from a distant planet. Curiosity and duty drove the crew to investigate. The planet, cloaked in perpetual shadow and partially obscured by swirling clouds, had never appeared on any historical survey. It was, in every sense, forgotten. Upon entering orbit, the crew observed landscapes that defied conventional expectations. Towering formations, crystalline in appearance, jutted from the surface like petrified lightning. Vast canyons glowed faintly with bioluminescent flora, illuminating rivers that shimmered with strange, metallic hues. Atmospheric analysis suggested an ecosystem capable of sustaining life, but utterly alien: gases, microbial life, and mineral compositions unknown to human science. The planet seemed ancient, untouched by civilizations recorded in galactic history, yet traces of structure hinted at previous intelligent activity. Exploration teams were deployed, descending in modular shuttles into the planet's surface. As the crew navigated the alien terrain, they discovered ruins, monolithic structures carved with symbols that pulsed faintly with energy. The architecture was geometric yet organic, designed to integrate with the natural environment. Patterns on the walls suggested a form of communication, a language lost to time, perhaps predating any known interstellar species. Environmental scanners indicated residual energy fields, as if the structures were alive, maintaining functions autonomously long after their creators had vanished. Biologists discovered flora that reacted to presence. Plants shifted their bioluminescence in patterns, seemingly in recognition of movement and sound. Fauna, though scarce, exhibited intelligence. Creatures avoided human teams in ways suggesting observation rather than fear. The planet itself felt conscious, aware of intrusion yet not hostile. Psychological effects were reported among the crew: dreams influenced by the landscape, heightened intuition, and shared visions of civilizations rising and falling. The forgotten world was not merely a location, it was an entity, or at least a repository of consciousness encoded in its terrain, structures, and organisms. As the teams delved deeper into the central ruins, they discovered a vast subterranean chamber. Inside, crystalline constructs aligned with the planet's magnetic fields produced holographic projections of stars, galaxies, and unknown planetary systems. The chamber functioned as both archive and interface, recording information from across time and space. Symbols on the walls began to resonate when touched, translating incomprehensible patterns into visual sequences that conveyed historical events, ecological evolution, and the philosophy of a civilization that had deliberately concealed itself from the cosmos. The crew theorized that the civilization had chosen to withdraw from galactic observation, perhaps to preserve their world or to safeguard knowledge until others were ready to perceive it. As data streams integrated with shipboard AI, the Vanguard's crew gained insight into the civilization's understanding of life, consciousness, and the universe. They discovered concepts of ethical stewardship, interspecies cooperation, and technological advancement harmonized with planetary ecology, principles that seemed revolutionary even by contemporary galactic standards. Tension escalated when explorers activated a sequence that appeared to awaken the planet itself. Energy surged through the crystalline formations, resonating across canyons and rivers, causing the terrain to shift subtly. Fauna exhibited heightened activity, and the environmental reading suggested the planet was responding to the crew's presence as if testing their intent. Leadership convened rapidly. Decisions had to balance curiosity and scientific pursuit with respect and caution. Missteps could trigger defensive mechanisms embedded within the ruins or destabilize the planet's delicate ecosystem. Through collaboration, ingenuity, and ethical judgment, the crew managed to stabilize the planetary interface. The planet's response shifted from scrutiny to subtle acknowledgement. Information flowed more freely, revealing maps of the stars, archives of extinct civilizations, and theories of life that spanned multiple galaxies. The crew realized the planet's purpose: it was a guardian, preserving knowledge and consciousness for those capable of understanding its lessons. Humanity was now faced with a profound choice: extract and utilize this knowledge for immediate gain, or respect the planet's design and engage with it responsibly, honoring the philosophy encoded in every structure and organism. By the end of their mission, the crew of the Vanguard had uncovered not only the mysteries of the forgotten world but also a deeper understanding of themselves. Humanity's role as explorers, scientists, and custodians of knowledge was affirmed. The planet had revealed that the measure of intelligence was not merely discovery, but the capacity to approach the unknown with humility, curiosity, and respect. The forgotten world, once lost to time, had become a mirror and a guide, an enduring reminder that the universe held secrets meant for those who could perceive, understand, and act with wisdom. The Vanguard departed, carrying immense knowledge, historical archives, and philosophical insights, forever changed by the planet that had waited silently, patiently, and watchfully for a civilization capable of understanding its legacy. The galaxy now had a new story to tell. One of discovery, restraint, and the timeless bond between life, consciousness, and forgotten worlds. After their initial survey, the crew of the Vanguard realized that the planet's surface was only a fraction of its secrets. Subsurface scans revealed vast caverns and tunnel networks stretching for hundreds of kilometers, constructed with precision that rivaled any interstellar civilization known to humanity. These tunnels emitted faint energy pulses, resonating with the crystalline structures on the surface, suggesting a planetary network designed to amplify, store, and transmit information across both space and time. The forgotten world was not dormant, it was a living archive. Exploration teams descended into the subterranean labyrinths, equipped with adaptive AI drones, environmental suits, and portable energy analyzers. The tunnels were lined with luminescent veins of an unknown mineral that pulsed in response to movement, creating a natural navigation system. Every step activated subtle shifts in energy patterns, which the AI interpreted as partial communication. The planet was guiding the explorers, testing their approach, and evaluating their ability to interact responsibly with its environment. Even the air itself seemed to carry data. Inhaled particles triggered sensory feedback that generated visual and auditory patterns within the minds of the crew. Offering fragmented glimpses of ancient civilizations and ecological systems long vanished, deep within the labyrinth, the teams discovered an enormous chamber, its ceiling lost in shadow, walls adorned with complex geometric carvings that glowed faintly in resonance with the explorers' movements. At the chamber's center floated a massive crystalline sphere, rotating slowly, emitting harmonic vibrations detectable by both instruments and human perception. Analysis suggested that this sphere was a central repository of planetary knowledge, recording everything that occurred on the surface and in the subterranean networks for millennia. As the crew approached, the sphere's energy pulses synchronized with their neural interfaces, projecting images, sounds, and data sequences that told stories of life, evolution, and advanced technology, stories that predated humanity's earliest interstellar ventures by tens of thousands of years. The planet's history unfolded. It had once been home to a civilization capable of incredible technological and ethical mastery. They had created a world in harmony with its environment, blending architecture, energy systems, and biological life in ways that were inseparable from the planet itself. Their goal had been preservation of knowledge, consciousness, and ecological balance, all encoded in the crystalline sphere and the living planet. For reasons unknown, the civilization vanished, leaving behind a legacy designed to test and educate those who came later. The forgotten world was a trial for emerging civilizations, a measure of curiosity, intelligence, and ethical reasoning. As the crew delved deeper, subtle anomalies began to occur. Gravity fluctuated unexpectedly, holographic projections appeared spontaneously, and whispers, auditory illusions generated by the planet's energy field, suggested intelligence embedded in the terrain itself. Some crew members experienced vivid visions of alien consciousness, sharing feelings of joy, curiosity, and melancholy. Others reported temporal distortions, memories of events they had never lived interlaced with their own perceptions, creating a sensation that the planet's consciousness was attempting to communicate across dimensions of experience. The explorers realized that the planet itself was an active participant in their understanding, shaping lessons in real time based on observation of behavior and intent. Tensions arose when one exploration team accidentally triggered a defensive mechanism embedded in a crystalline structure. Energy pulses surged, destabilizing part of the tunnel network, forcing an immediate evacuation. This incident reinforced the understanding that the planet's trials were not merely academic, it was evaluating decision-making under stress, the balance between curiosity and caution, and the ethical treatment of the environment and potential life forms. Leadership emphasized cooperation, measured exploration, and careful interpretation of planetary feedback. Only through respect and collaboration could they safely continue. Further exploration revealed living archives, semi-organic constructs resembling vast crystalline tendrils that interfaced with the planetary network. These constructs responded to presence and intent, displaying patterns of light, harmonic pulses, and geometric sequences that conveyed information about the planet's ecological systems, its creators' philosophies, and techniques for sustainable coexistence. By studying these tendrils, the crew gained unprecedented insights into energy manipulation, biological engineering, and interspecies communication, all while being reminded that every action had consequence, and ethical consideration was paramount. The climax of Part 2 occurred when the crew discovered the core nexus, a massive spherical chamber buried beneath the planet's deepest caverns. Here, the energy of the planet concentrated into a coherent, conscious interface capable of projecting entire civilizations and ecological histories simultaneously. The planet's intelligence appeared to evaluate humanity's cumulative actions, their restraint, creativity, collaboration, and moral decision-making. Through adaptive energy interfaces, the crew realized that the forgotten world was not only a repository of knowledge but also a judge and teacher. Their mission had transformed from exploration to participation in a dialogue across time, consciousness, and ethics. By the end of Part 2, the crew of the Vanguard understood the magnitude of their discovery. The forgotten world was a living, intelligent entity, a guardian of knowledge, and a teacher designed to challenge emerging civilizations. Humanity's interaction with it was not only about survival or scientific gain, it was a test of ethical reasoning, creativity, and the capacity to engage responsibly with powers far beyond ordinary comprehension. The planet had begun to recognize their intent, and the next phase promised deeper revelations, greater challenges, and the ultimate question: would humanity prove worthy of the wisdom the forgotten world had preserved for millennia? The deeper the crew ventured into the forgotten world's core, the more apparent it became that the planet was not a passive archive but an active, conscious entity. Every step taken within the subterranean labyrinths and crystalline chambers generated responses, shifts in energy, illumination patterns, and subtle harmonic vibrations that seemed to communicate intention. The planet observed, assessed, and, in a sense, taught. What had begun as a scientific expedition had transformed into a dialogue with a sentient world, a conversation that transcended language, culture, and even species. As exploration teams advanced toward the core nexus, the environment became increasingly surreal. Gravity warped unpredictably, light refracted in impossible ways, and crystalline structures appeared to shift positions when unobserved. Sensors recorded fluctuations in quantum energy that defied contemporary understanding, suggesting that the planet could manipulate spacetime locally. Crew members experienced visions, fragmented memories of alien civilizations, glimpses of flora and fauna evolving over millennia, and simulations of ethical choices made by extinct beings. The boundaries between reality and perception blurred, and it became clear that the planet's consciousness extended beyond the physical, integrating sensory, cognitive, and temporal dimensions. In one chamber, the explorers encountered a vast semi-organic interface, crystalline tendrils pulsating with synchronized light and energy, forming patterns that suggested an algorithmic yet artistic design. When team members approached, the tendrils responded, creating visual representations of civilizations that had risen and fallen across galaxies. Holographic landscapes unfolded around the crew, populated by alien life forms and structures, demonstrating principles of harmony, innovation, and ethical governance. The forgotten world conveyed knowledge not through words, but through immersive experience, compelling humanity to perceive history, morality, and consequence simultaneously. Tensions escalated when a misstep by one of the teams activated a defense mechanism embedded deep within the crystalline lattice. Energy surges destabilized sections of the tunnels, producing gravimetric waves that threatened to collapse caverns. The planet's response was deliberate yet non-lethal, a test of crisis management, collaboration, and ethical decision-making under pressure. Human leaders coordinated quickly, deploying adaptive energy shields, recalibrating drones, and directing crew teams to stabilize both the environment and their operations. Every choice was observed, every action interpreted. Humanity had to demonstrate that it could navigate power responsibly while respecting the intelligence of the planet itself. Further exploration revealed hidden layers of memory encoded within the planet's crystalline network. Here, the crew discovered simulations of alternate histories. What could have happened if civilizations prioritized aggression over ethics, exploitation over stewardship, or selfish ambition over collaboration? The results were catastrophic: ecosystems collapsed, species vanished, and civilizations imploded. The planet's lesson was clear: knowledge without wisdom, power without ethical guidance, and curiosity without restraint led to annihilation. Humanity realized that understanding these lessons was essential not only for surviving on the forgotten world, but for navigating the galaxy responsibly. The climax of Part 3 came when the crew reached the deepest chamber within the core nexus. Here, the central crystalline sphere, the repository of the planet's consciousness, expanded into a full sensory interface. Crew members were immersed in a multidimensional simulation that encompassed the entire history of the forgotten world's civilization, its rise and disappearance, and the principles that guided its creation of the planetary network. They perceived themselves not as mere observers, but as participants in a continuum of knowledge, ethics, and evolution. The planet evaluated not their technological prowess, but their moral reasoning, creativity, and capacity to collaborate across crises. Through careful observation, ethical decision-making, and collective ingenuity, the crew earned acknowledgement. The crystalline sphere radiated patterns of light and harmonic resonance that conveyed approval, trust, and invitation. The forgotten world revealed that it had remained hidden for millennia not out of neglect, but to protect its knowledge until a civilization capable of understanding its lessons arrived. Humanity was now being granted access to deeper truths: the interconnection of life, consciousness, technology, and morality across the galaxy. By the conclusion of Part 3, the crew understood that the forgotten world was more than a repository. It was a teacher, a guardian, and a living archive. Humanity's engagement had evolved into a symbiotic relationship. The planet offered insight, challenge, and wisdom, while the crew demonstrated understanding, creativity, and responsibility. The stage was set for the next phase, where the explorers would confront the ultimate purpose of the planet, face ethical dilemmas of unprecedented scale, and uncover the final secrets of the civilization that had once called the forgotten world home. As the crew of the Vanguard delved deeper into the core nexus, it became evident that the forgotten world was orchestrating challenges designed to test not just intellect, but moral judgment, creativity, and resilience. The crystalline sphere at the heart of the planet projected immersive simulations that merged reality with perception. Gravity shifted unpredictably, light bent along unseen vectors, and harmonic pulses resonated directly within neural interfaces. Crew members experienced temporal distortions, flashes of civilizations rising and collapsing, and visions of choices made by species long vanished. It was as if the planet itself were teaching through experience, compelling them to navigate impossible ethical and environmental dilemmas. The first trial occurred in the luminous expanse, a cavernous region of the core nexus where energy flows formed rivers of light and crystalline bridges spanned voids of fluctuating gravity. Here, the crew encountered remnants of automated caretakers, semi-organic constructs designed to test responses. These entities projected ethical dilemmas: save a collapsing archive of knowledge at risk to personal safety, or preserve the crew and lose invaluable historical data. Decisions were immediate and consequential. Tactical and scientific teams collaborated, devising strategies that minimized risk while honoring the planet's intent. The constructs observed, adjusted, and responded dynamically, amplifying the difficulty of the challenge in response to success or failure. As the fleet pressed further, environmental hazards intensified. Crystalline formations emitted energy surges capable of destabilizing ship systems, while gravimetric anomalies created localized time distortions. Crew members found themselves perceiving seconds as hours and vice versa, forcing reliance on intuition, judgment, and trust in one another. The planet's intelligence was teaching adaptability, emphasizing that comprehension of its lessons required balance. Technology alone could not solve the trials. Ethical reasoning and emotional intelligence were equally critical, in a vast chamber known as the Archive of Echoes. Holographic projections displayed entire histories of extinct civilizations. Some had fallen due to environmental mismanagement, others due to ethical failings, and some because they wielded technological power without wisdom. The crew observed patterns and derived principles, learning that the forgotten world's ultimate lesson was not merely preservation of knowledge but the integration of ethics with discovery. Here, the planet forced humanity to confront philosophical dilemmas, intervene to save a species at potential cost to themselves, or allow natural progression with possible extinction. The responses were recorded, analyzed, and fed back into the core nexus, which subtly reshaped its environment in real time. Reflecting the ethical weight of each decision, the climactic challenge of Part 4 occurred when the crew approached the heart chamber, a spherical space dominated by the central crystalline sphere. The sphere projected a simulation of a galaxy in turmoil, stars collapsing, civilizations under threat, and resources destabilized across vast distances. Crew members were faced with decisions that would determine the survival of simulated species while balancing fleet safety and long-term ethical considerations. Every choice was observed, energy pulses emanated from the sphere in reaction, and the environment dynamically adjusted to test creativity, leadership, and moral reasoning simultaneously. Through collaboration, critical thinking, and ethical foresight, the crew navigated the trial successfully. Ships synchronized their energy flows with the crystalline lattice, stabilizing volatile areas while preserving simulated civilizations. AI-assisted calculations were combined with human judgment, ensuring minimal harm and maximum preservation. The sphere responded with radiant harmonics and cascading light sequences, signaling approval, acknowledgement, and trust. Humanity had demonstrated the capacity to act responsibly under pressure, blending technological mastery with ethical integrity. By the end of Part 4, it was clear that the forgotten world was not merely a repository but a conscious mentor. The planet had assessed humanity's ability to integrate knowledge, creativity, and ethical responsibility. Crew members realized that they were participants in a larger cosmic dialogue. The planet offered wisdom and guidance, while humanity demonstrated comprehension, moral judgment, and resilience. The stage was set for the next phase, where the explorers would face the ultimate revelation, the purpose of the forgotten world and the destiny it offered to civilizations capable of understanding its lessons. The deeper the crew penetrated the forgotten world's core nexus, the more they realized the planet's trials were not solely about survival or scientific discovery. They were about understanding the profound responsibility that comes with knowledge. The crystalline sphere, now fully resonant, projected simulations that merged past, present, and potential futures. Entire civilizations, some human-like, some utterly alien, appeared in sequences of harmonic energy and light, demonstrating the consequences of ethical choices, environmental stewardship, and technological development. Humanity was being asked to not only comprehend these lessons but to internalize and apply them. The first major revelation came when the fleet encountered the Hall of Reflections, a vast chamber filled with mirrored crystalline structures. Each surface reflected not only the crew's physical forms but also projected visions of their thoughts, fears, and ethical dilemmas. The planet was assessing character and intent, challenging the crew to confront internal conflicts and biases. Decisions made in these reflections, how they prioritized safety versus duty, ambition versus caution, exploration versus preservation, directly influenced the energy patterns of the chamber. Those who acted with integrity found the reflections glowing harmoniously, guiding their progress deeper into the core nexus. Those who faltered experienced subtle environmental feedback, energy distortions, shifting pathways, and auditory dissonance, signaling the need for recalibration of intent and behavior. As the fleet progressed, environmental challenges intensified. Crystalline pathways became increasingly unstable, gravity fluctuated dramatically, and harmonic surges disrupted ship systems. The planet appeared to be teaching advanced problem-solving under extreme conditions, combining physical, ethical, and cognitive stressors. Teams had to coordinate flawlessly, merging AI predictions with human intuition, while making moral judgments about the simulated civilizations projected before them. Every choice, every action, and every hesitation was recorded and analyzed by the planet's consciousness, a testament to its role as both archive and mentor. In the Chamber of Echoing Worlds, the crew was confronted with a galaxy in crisis, simulations of civilization struggling with environmental collapse, resource scarcity, and social unrest. The planet presented impossible ethical scenarios: divert energy to save a collapsing city at the expense of another, reveal advanced technology to accelerate a civilization's growth while risking cultural destabilization, or preserve knowledge without intervention. Each scenario tested not only intelligence and ingenuity but also empathy, foresight, and moral clarity. The crew worked together, combining scientific analysis with ethical reasoning, developing solutions that balanced multiple outcomes while minimizing harm. The planet's response was immediate: energy streams and light patterns adapted dynamically, providing feedback, approval, and further challenge. The climax of Part 5 occurred in the heart chamber, where the central crystalline sphere expanded into a full, multidimensional interface. Here, the planet revealed the ultimate lesson: the forgotten world had been designed to identify civilizations capable of understanding and wielding knowledge responsibly. Its creators had vanished, leaving behind a legacy meant to ensure that wisdom, ethical judgment, and the capacity to act with foresight persisted across time. Humanity's actions, both collective and individual, were being evaluated for their suitability to inherit this responsibility. Through deliberate, ethical, and innovative decision-making, the crew passed the final trial. The crystalline sphere emitted radiant harmonic waves that enveloped the fleet, signaling recognition and trust. The planet acknowledged that humanity had demonstrated not only the intellectual capacity to understand its archives but also the moral and ethical wisdom to act responsibly with the knowledge it offered. The simulation stabilized, pathways opened, and the core nexus revealed previously hidden repositories of information, ecological systems, advanced technologies, and philosophical frameworks spanning countless civilizations and millennia. By the conclusion of Part 5, humanity understood that the forgotten world was more than a planet; it was a guardian, a teacher, and a mentor. The planet's purpose was clear: to prepare civilizations capable of stewardship over knowledge, life, and ethical action on a galactic scale. Humanity had proven its worth, integrating intelligence, creativity, and morality under extraordinary conditions. The crew of the Vanguard had not only survived, they had grown, learned, and established a new covenant with a conscious world that had waited millennia for worthy successors. As the fleet prepared for the return journey, the implications were profound. Humanity was no longer simply an explorer of space; it had become a participant in a greater cosmic narrative, entrusted with knowledge, ethical responsibility, and the opportunity to shape the future of civilizations across the stars. The forgotten world, once silent and hidden, had now spoken, leaving humanity forever changed, carrying the wisdom of millennia into the vast, uncharted cosmos. As the Vanguard advanced toward the deepest reaches of the core nexus, the central crystalline sphere pulsed with intensity, radiating waves of harmonic energy that resonated across both the fleet's ships and the minds of the crew. It became clear that the planet's final test was imminent, a trial designed not only to assess knowledge, problem-solving, and collaboration, but the very essence of humanity's wisdom, ethical judgment, and capacity to act responsibly under existential pressure. Every thought, choice, and emotional response was being observed and integrated into the planet's consciousness. The planet projected a simulation unlike any before, an entire galaxy on the brink of collapse. Stars were destabilizing, planets were disintegrating, and civilizations faced extinction from environmental catastrophe and interstellar conflict. Crew members were confronted with impossible choices: which systems to stabilize first, which populations to save, and how to allocate limited resources while maintaining ethical responsibility. The simulation was real enough to strain nerves and test judgment, yet it was deliberately designed to evaluate how humanity balanced ambition, compassion, and foresight. Leadership councils convened on the bridge of the Vanguard. Strategies were debated. Algorithms were calculated, and ethical dilemmas were weighed with unprecedented care. The planet's energy field responded dynamically to every plan. Decisions guided by empathy, long-term vision, and collaboration stabilized sections of the simulation. Choices guided by haste, selfishness, or reckless ambition generated destabilizing pulses and visual dissonance, emphasizing the consequences of error. Every crew member understood that success required more than technology. It demanded moral clarity, patience, and creative problem-solving. Navigators guided ships through collapsing star clusters, deploying energy stabilizers that aligned with the planet's harmonic patterns. Scientists recalibrated environmental control systems on simulated planets, ensuring ecological balance while minimizing collateral harm. Pilots maneuvered in regions where gravity bent unpredictably, coordinating with teams in real time to prevent catastrophic chain reactions. AI systems processed enormous datasets, but it was human intuition, judgment, and ethical reasoning that determined the final outcomes. The planet had made it clear: intelligence alone was insufficient, wisdom and responsibility were paramount. The climax of the test occurred when the central sphere projected the ultimate ethical dilemma: humanity could secure its own survival by sacrificing the simulated civilizations or strive to preserve as many as possible, at tremendous risk to the fleet itself. After intense deliberation, the crew elected collaboration and preservation, designing solutions that leveraged every resource, technological advancement, and strategic insight to save both themselves and the civilizations within the simulation. Their actions demonstrated mastery not just of technology, but of moral reasoning and foresight. In response, the crystalline sphere erupted in radiant energy, cascading light and harmonic waves that enveloped the fleet. The planet had acknowledged humanity's triumph, not through destruction or reward, but through recognition. The forgotten world revealed its ultimate purpose: to safeguard knowledge, consciousness, and ethical wisdom, and to grant access only to civilizations capable of understanding and upholding these principles. Humanity had passed, earning trust, recognition, and the privilege to carry the planet's legacy forward. The final moments of the trial were transformative. The planet shared access to archives spanning millennia, offering insights into advanced technologies, interstellar ecosystems, and ethical philosophies that harmonized knowledge with life. Crew members experienced a profound connection with the planet itself, a living consciousness that had waited for millennia, testing, teaching, and now accepting humanity as worthy successors. The forgotten world's silence was replaced by trust, and its lessons became an indelible part of human understanding. As the Vanguard prepared to leave orbit, the crew reflected on the magnitude of their journey. Humanity had encountered a conscious, intelligent world, faced trials beyond comprehension, and emerged not only alive but fundamentally transformed. The planet had imparted knowledge, wisdom, and ethical insight that would guide civilizations for generations. Humanity's role as explorers, guardians, and stewards of knowledge had been affirmed. The fleet departed, carrying the wisdom of the forgotten world into the galaxy. Stars, nebulae, and distant civilizations stretched before them, but humanity now understood that true exploration was inseparable from ethical responsibility and the careful stewardship of knowledge. The forgotten world, once hidden and silent, had fulfilled its purpose. It had taught, evaluated, and passed judgment. Humanity had risen to the challenge, earning a place among the galaxy's worthy civilizations. The story concluded with the planet fading into the distance, its crystalline structures shimmering faintly, a sentinel waiting patiently for the next civilization ready to learn. Humanity, forever changed, carried forward the lessons of patience, wisdom, and moral courage, leaving the forgotten world as both a guide and a legacy, a reminder that the greatest discoveries are not of stars or planets, but of conscience, ethics, and the boundless potential of life guided by wisdom.